Welcome to episode 6 of Geekers Creepers, the podcast where we talk about the geeky side of life and we talk about the creepy side of life. Welcome, everyone, and my name is Robert, and I am joined by my co-host, Jose. How's it going, Jose?
Hey, what's up? Pretty good. Enjoying this night.
Yes, it is. It's a nice night out. It was a nice day. Hopefully, everybody out there listening had a good weekend, and Jose, hopefully you've had a good weekend. How's
Yeah,
your
it's
you good?
it's been yeah, it's been pretty good. It's a fast weekend. Did a little gambling today and came out even, so not too bad.
That's good. Awesome.
Yeah. How about
Um,
yours?
Mine was okay. I went, of all things, apple picking with a group of friends. We went to one of those orchards where they have apple picking, and you've got ciders. And I did a corn maze, which was a lot of fun. Did not get lost. So yeah, overall it was good. It was
That's good.
a relaxing fall weekend.
Yes, yes, very fall weekend indeed. It was pretty chilly yesterday too, so it was a great night to go, I guess, apple picking.
Yes, it was. It was actually, yeah, it was nice. It looked like it was going to rain, but it didn't. It was perfect.
hmm
But before we get into, our apple picking podcast, I do want to talk about breaking news. Something we heard about today. It was an accidental tweet. I'm sorry. Yeah, I believe it was an accidental tweet that was sent out. Now, let me read this real quick. This is from Eurogamer.net. And I guess that this fits Geeker Creeper perfectly because this is a game that's both, it's a game, so it's geeky, and it's a scary game, hence it's creepy. So, Netflix, again, this is from Eurogamer.net. This came up this morning. Netflix prematurely reveals a new CG Resident Evil series, Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. And to read the article by Vicky Blake, a tweet that briefly popped up on Netflix Portugal before being summarily deleted has revealed a new, previously unannounced Resident Evil series entitled Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. The CG project stars both Resident Evil 2 protagonist Claire Redfield and Leon S. Kennedy. It's seemingly scheduled for release in 2021. So let's take a quick look at this video, and we'll both give our reactions. Okay, Jose? All
Yeah, sounds good.
right.
Let's
Make
take
sure
a look.
you can see it, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Capcom.
It's like that Claire. She's entering the house here. It's got the flashlight. What is that? Is that a file or something?
I don't know what that is. Oh.
This is Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. And we've got the zombies. So this looks like it's taking place inside a house.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
a lot
Leon.
like, and then we got the Resident Evil, or the Netflix, only streaming on Netflix. It's a very quick,
2021.
it's a very quick teaser, 54 seconds. I will put a link onto our, um, on, onto the, onto our podcast information, the details. So I'll have a link for that. But let me just go a little more here. It says, as you might well expect from a premature announcement, little else is known about the project. But it looks to be different from another Resident Evil flavored Netflix venture that will focus on kids with the very familiar surname. So, Jose, I know you are a Resident Evil fan.
Yes.
You were talking how much you loved the last, was it Resident Evil 2 that came out?
Resident Evil 2. Yes, that's correct. Fantastic game.
Okay. So what do you think about this? Do you ever watch it? Well, let me ask, do you have Netflix?
Sort of.
Okay.
Sort of.
You steal the neighbor's Netflix?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
No
Um,
comment.
so what do you think of this? Like, it's a CG. I personally, I think having a CG, which is computer graphics, computer generated,
Hmm.
show. I prefer that than having a live action one. I think a live action one would be a little too cheesy, especially for like a Netflix production. I get a feeling like we would be stuck back with like another Walking Dead or something like that. Um, I think it'd be kind of cool. Now, maybe it's gonna. It looks like right now, just the little teaser we got, it looks like it's more Resident Evil 1 than it is 2. They said that they're using the characters from the second one, but it looks like it's inside a mansion, which is the first one. What do
Yeah,
you
I
think?
thought I thought it looked fantastic, from just that little teaser trailer.
Mhm.
The only thing that has me concerned is that it's a Netflix original, and you know, their shows don't seem to fare very well. Like they seem to cancel them after one season.
Well,
So that's
they do have hit and miss ones. They've
yeah,
got a lot of people like the Castlevania. It's like it's an
the
anime.
anime. Yeah,
I'm not big into anime, so I watched it. I couldn't get into it. Um, but
yeah. I watched a couple episodes as well of Castlevania. After I think I saw the whole four. I think it was like 4 episodes, and I saw
okay,
them all. And I didn't care about it that much. I was like, it was all right.
yeah, I was the same thing. I think maybe I watched two, and I can look. I understand people love anime, and people actually really like that show, and it probably is a good show. I just something about anime. It takes me out of the experience. I can't get into it. I don't know what it is. Um,
Yeah.
something maybe gets lost in translation with, it seems like it's very Japanese influenced, so I just can't get into it. Um, now, as for this Resident Evil, this is more CG, kind of like what Final Fantasy did with
Yeah.
their movies. That for me, it's easier for me to get into. It's also you can do a lot more as far as the effects. Like, you could do a like that crazy zombie. What's the guy that chases you in number three? Nemesis.
Nemesis. Hmm.
And then number two, you have what's his name? The big Arnold Schwarzenegger guy.
Mr. Mr. Something. I forgot what his name was.
Yeah. So like you could do something like that where you don't have to rely on like bad makeup effects or
Hmm.
or
Or
just
getting a
even
8 foot tall guy to play, a certain character, or yeah, you could get away with a lot more with using CGI.
yeah. I'm excited for this. I
Yeah.
it popped up and as soon as I saw it I'm like, holy cow, this is going to be awesome. Um I'll definitely watch it. I saw the like for me Resident Evil 7, I keep telling you like that game just scares the bejesus out of me. Done right, hopefully it'll be done right. Of course, there's always the chance that it'll be another Walking Dead copy, another. I mean, don't get me wrong, the zombie trope has been just played
Yes.
out for the
It's been
longest
beaten to
time.
death,
Mhm.
literally and figuratively.
Yeah, it's been beaten to death, literally and figuratively. Exactly. And I mean, but when you think of Resident Evil, like that came out what 97, 98, and
Yeah, probably like 95-ish or 6-ish,
yeah,
somewhere around there.
around at
Hmm.
that time there wasn't that big revival of zombies. Resident Evil helped bring that back, and
Yeah.
they're the of course the Godfather is Night of the Living Dead. What's his name, Romero? He's the
Hmm.
one, of course, that created all this and really made the modern zombie. But then I would say like the second revival was that Resident Evil, and even the lousy movies helped bring it back too. This whole zombie craze, but hopefully it'll rely more on what it did in the past than what's going on now with the zombie craze. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think at the time when Resident Evil came out, the genres of video games were like playing aliens, fighting against aliens or
Mhm.
robots, and then here comes Resident Evil with a fresh new outlook on video gaming, right? You're dealing with zombies now, and it's been around, like you said, it's been around almost 30 years, that franchise.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's nice to see that they're finally getting some kind of you know uh, although they've had movies come out in Hollywood, I never saw them. I never cared to see them. They didn't look that interesting to me. I thought they looked cheesy, but this one actually looks, pretty close to, to the Resident Evil video games, which I kind of appreciate.
Yeah, it looks close to the source material. Um,
Right, right, right.
yeah, I agree. Like I did look, I'll admit I saw the Resident Evil movies, and they
You
are
did?
cheesy. Yeah, I'm guilty, man. I
No, I'm
saw
just
them.
kidding.
Um, but um,
Yeah, they were cheesy.
they were cheesy. Yeah,
They were late 90s. Well, I don't know when they came out, actually, so I take
I
that
think they
back.
were like
But
they were probably late '90s, early 2000s.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it was what's her name, Mila Jovovich, and I
yeah.
believe it was directed by her husband. So, you know, for what
Hmm,
that's worth. Don't get
yeah.
me wrong,
Oh,
they're fun. They're fun. They're mindless. Like you put in the
yeah.
background while I don't know I don't know
Cooking.
while you're cooking or playing a handheld game,
Yeah.
and it'd be fine. But it's not something you sit there and you guys go to Denny's afterwards and talking. What what was the meaning of the second zombie?
Yeah, there's no meaning to discuss.
Yes, no meaning. It was just like, well, I guess it was good.
Yeah, it's
Um,
kind of like, all right.
but yeah, that's hopefully we'll get that soon. It doesn't have a date, doesn't have anything. Of course,
Oh,
that was a.
I thought I saw 2021
Oh
at
yes,
the
I'm sorry.
end.
Yeah, I think
Hmm.
um yeah, it does say. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
But yeah, but again, it was like this crazy leak from some Portugal website, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, it's too bad they couldn't wait a couple more days and leak it in October. That would have been like super like creepy, like, ooh,
For
October time,
Halloween,
man. We
maybe it'll
get
come
them.
out in
Yeah.
October. Hopefully. Oh no, I said
Oh,
2021.
that.
No, no, no. Yeah, we gotta wait next year. Maybe
Well, you never
October
know.
next
They
year.
might.
Um, all right. So, with that said, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. Our first question is, we spoke about this before we started recording, but what have we been playing?
What have we been playing? Robert, what have you been playing this past week since we last spoke?
I gotta admit, I didn't hook it up, man. I was gonna hook it up. I was gonna hook it up, but I ended up playing. Geez, I didn't play too much of anything really. I let me. Well, I'll be honest. I played a little bit of Dead by Daylight as usual, and I streamed a bit of that. I tried to stream the Jackbox party games to see if I could get a stranger game to jump in, but
Mhm.
nobody jumped in. I tried to play Among Us because it's the big craze, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't get it, so I stopped. I'm I understand the point of the game, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to play with people right now. So I gave up on that, and then I've just been doing a little bit of Animal Crossing, and that's been pretty much it
On the Switch or what?
on the Switch. Yeah,
On the Switch.
yeah, I
Okay.
did a little Animal Crossing. I've been trying to trade my turnips to get some money, but I keep getting gypped by those little raccoons or the
I've
tanukis. I guess they're tanukis.
I've never played the Animal Crossings before.
It's it's relaxing, like
Okay.
I can see it's one of those games that if you're lonely, I guess it's a game to play because like you get everybody's like so friendly and you're kind of walking around this little town. It's like people want to talk to you, but it's I don't get the craze, but it's a
Mhm.
fun game. But Jose,
Okay.
I will continue with this in a bit because I want to
Mhm.
get like your review. But for now, what have you been playing?
I have been playing a whole lot of shooters, old school shooters. And the reason for that is because I got my TurboGrafx 16 and my TurboGrafx 16 Mini, and I will say it's the word mini is a bit of a stretch because it's pretty big. I
All
was like,
right,
wow.
all right. Well, so that's all you've been playing this week?
Yes, I've been playing that a lot of Blazing Lasers,
Okay.
Superstar Soldier. There's another shooter that I was playing on TurboGrafx, and then I switched it up and started playing Ikaruga on my 360. I don't know
Okay.
if you ever played that game.
I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's a real popular Japanese shooter. Well, it's a shooting game, so it's
Mm.
of course it's Japanese. And it originally came out on the Dreamcast. It got ported over to the GameCube, which I used to own, and I got rid of it. And it's
Hmm.
worth a pretty good price now. But, at the end of the day, I downloaded the HD version that came out for the 360, which I'm pretty happy with. So, yeah, just playing a whole bunch of old school shooters, and I miss those kind of games.
Gotcha. All right. Well, in a bit, we're going to come back to the triple graphics because I want to get your opinion, your review of this. How are you going to review this? Are you going to do just like a conversation review, or are you going to rate it at all?
Maybe a little both, I
Okay.
guess.
All right. Sounds
Maybe
good.
both.
We'll talk about this, and then when you bring up the games, I'll chime in then because a lot of the games on there I had originally played also.
Excellent.
But our next big story, and this is a pretty big story. Almost every outlet's already covered this, and if they haven't, I don't know why they haven't covered this. But it is Xbox buys Bethesda. Now, did you hear about this, Jose?
Yes, yes. I
Okay.
think, yeah, it's the biggest news in the video game planet right now.
Yes, it is. And I'm not going to lie to you, this has made me think that I may be going the route of Xbox. Um,
Mm.
it is, to me, Bethesda. So first off, it's a company called Zenimax that Xbox bought. And one of their subsidiaries is Bethesda, and there are also other companies they bought along with that ZeniMax has control over.
Okay.
And again, one of those companies was Bethesda. And to anybody who doesn't, really understand game the what that means, they bought it for about 7 billion. And Bethesda is known for having some of the biggest franchises in video games right now. Now, lately they've been not, they've been letting people down recently
Yeah,
with
a
some
lot
of
of
the,
misses.
yes, mainly Fallout 76, which was what people didn't want. But in the past, they've had big hits, and I'm going to go over some of these hits in a minute. But like for me, the big one is the Elder Scrolls games. And for people that don't know the Elder Scrolls games, there's a game called Skyrim, which almost everybody's heard of. It's on everything. It is literally, and I'm not lying, it is literally, you can play it on your Alexa. You can say, play Skyrim, and it will play Skyrim for you. So it is on everything.
Yeah,
And
you're not gonna believe this, but you could also play it on a Atari 2600.
can
It's
you?
that popular. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's a good one. I
I'm
would
just
not
kidding.
be surprised. Like, I
They
would
made
not
a
be surprised if
hack.
somebody did it. Um,
Yeah.
but so 7 billion. And to compare that to when Disney bought Star Wars, and that was a big buy also. I believe that was
That
for
was a
maybe like
huge buy.
that was like for 3 or 4 billion. But they
Yes,
bought
I
this for
thought the same thing.
7. And
Hmm.
this is insane. I'm going to quickly go over what some of these games are that were bought. Unless, Jose, do you have anything real quick to say before I go over those?
No, no, no. You're right. You're absolutely right. They spent a monumental amount of money on it.
So let me go over. Uh, with this said, Microsoft has also bought other companies to bring people into the Xbox community because, of course, this last generation, PlayStation just killed them. They were winning on everything. So Microsoft has recently bought a bunch of different companies. They're trying to build um, a an ecosystem where they have their first party games, and you have to have an Xbox to play it on. Uh, and then we'll go into a little detail about that. Maybe what's going to happen in the future regarding that. Much like Sony has their God of War and has their Spider-Man series, their Persona 5s, their own games that you have to buy a PlayStation to play on. That's what Xbox is now doing. And so here's some of the studios that they bought. Let me 1 second. All right. So one studio is called Turn 10, and they're known for Forza Motorsport. Also, I want to include that I'm getting this from the IGN website. They also bought the Coalition, which is known for Gears. That's a Gears of War series. 343 Industry, known for Halo.
Mm-hmm.
They bought Bethesda. That's this one, and they're known for the Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Starfield, which is the new game that's coming out. And along with that came Obsidian. They're known for the Outer Worlds, Grounded, Fallout New Vegas. They have Rare, known for Sea of Thieves, Everwild, and Battletoads. They have Playground Games, also known for Forza and Fable. id Software, known for Doom, Quake, and Rage. Ninja Theory, this is your studio,
Mm-hmm.
known for Hellblade and Bleeding Edge.
Yes.
They bought Mojang, which is known for Minecraft. Arcane Studios, known for Dishonored, Prey, and Deathloop. Double Fine, that's Psychonauts and Broken Age. They bought Machine Games, known for Wolfenstein. In Exile, known for Wasteland. Tango Gameworks, which is known for The Evil Within, Ghostwire, and Ghostwire Tokyo. Undead Labs, they're known for State of Decay. World's Edge, known for Age of Empires. That's crazy. That's like a computer game. Zenimax Online, they're known for the Elder Scrolls Online.
Mm-hmm.
And then they bought Alpha Dog Games, which I guess they're a mobile game developer. Compulsion Games, known for We Happy Few. And then two other ones, The Initiative and Roundhouse Studios, which they're new studios and haven't done anything yet. So this is huge, Jose. This is huge, man. This is game changing.
Yeah.
What do you think here?
It's earth shattering for sure. I was thinking, obviously this year is a wash for Xbox. They have no exclusives. Everyone knows that. They were really let down with Halo being so terrible that they had to delay it to next year. But I'll tell you what, Robert, next year it's going to be something special, I think, for the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what games are obviously lined up other than Halo, which will probably be scheduled sometime next year. But I think, some of their games are going to be so big that Halo is going to be an afterthought. That's my opinion.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I think Halo's gonna disappoint. People are gonna like it. It's gonna sell well, but I don't think it's gonna be anything that great. Look, here's the other thing, Jose. All these games, when they come out, as soon as they come out, day one, they're gonna be available on Microsoft's streaming service. What is it called? Their Game Pass. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as the new Elder Scrolls comes out, whatever it's going to be called, it's not going to be Skyrim, whatever it's going to be called, that's going to be available day one. And if you have that Games Pass, which you pay, what is it, $10 a month? Then bam, you've got that game. You've got all these new games that are going to come out from all these studios. You pay $10, that's $120 a year, and people might be listening being like, oh, that's a lot of money. All right, first off, if you buy two games, you've already spent $120. Two new games, $120. You're going to have this huge selection of games that as soon as they come out, you're going to be able to play them. Man, that's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It really is. It's starting to be more enticing as well. It's kind of like, man, I wasn't really too encouraged or, I didn't have a positive outlook on the Xbox, on the new Xbox. I was like, the PlayStation 5, it's gonna mop the floor. But man, now it's looking like we have a real console war going on. This is going back to Genesis, Super Nintendo days. It's
yes, it is. This is definitely going back Genesis, Super Nintendo. And again, with this Game Pass, you can actually use the Game Pass. Look at this, man. I mean, I'm at a loss for words because this is crazy. You can use Game Pass not just on the Xbox, but you can use it for your PC and on your Android. I can be on the train going to work and say, you know what, I want to jump on and play the Elder Scrolls games I was at my save, or the Fallout game save that I had, or any other game that's on Game Pass. I can play it on my phone. I can play it on my computer. I can play it on the Xbox. You know where you can't play it? On PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5.
Oh.
All these games, $10 a month.
$10 a month.
That is crazy. So let me. Do you play any of the Elder Scrolls like Skyrim, any of those?
No, no, I was never into any of the Skyrims or Elder
Okay,
Scrolls games, so that wasn't my cup of tea. But
gotcha.
I mean, I'm not denying that. It's a huge franchise. I mean, even I was tempted to play the VR version of Skyrim,
Hmm.
and I just never got into it. But it's for $10, if I was to come up with the Games Pass, it's something that I wouldn't mind exploring. And you figure you're going to get all these old games, and with updated graphics,
Hmm.
why wouldn't I try it?
Yeah, it's a great deal, and uh, I did play the Skyrim VR. I do own that, and I'm just whatever they come out with, it's going to be first day. Now, let me ask this: we or let me take that back. These are going to be exclusive to Xbox. Now, Xbox before has been saying that they are consumer friendly. They want to work with, like, they've been working with Nintendo. Now, during this time, while they've been the underdog, they've been saying, well, we believe that everything should be crossplay. We believe that we should be able to work alongside Nintendo, alongside PlayStation. But PlayStation doesn't want to work with us. PlayStation doesn't want to do crossplay. PlayStation doesn't want to share their games. And they've been going on and on that that's not consumer friendly. Well, now they are slowly but surely getting these studios. What do you think is going to happen once, let's say, um, the new Elder Scrolls comes out, whatever it's going to be called? Do you think that they're going to keep um, to their motto, to their word, and automatically day one share it with PlayStation and say, all right, well, you can sell our games, or do you think they're going to keep it exclusive, or somewhere in between?
Yeah, no, I think it has to be exclusive, in my opinion. And the reason for that is because you're buying that company for that amount of money. Granted, they could lend it out to PlayStation and make money and be more consumer friendly. But
Mhm.
right now it's about exclusives. Everyone knows that that's something that Microsoft is lacking. And to me, this is a huge punch to Sony saying, "Hey, you have exclusives. Now we're getting exclusives." There's no way they can have their games be on the PlayStation 5. I don't think it's going to happen.
But don't you think there'll be a lot of backlash? The second that they say PlayStation's not going to get it, people are going to say, wait, back when you were the underdog, you were all about sharing and working with other people. What's going on? I mean, you want people back, there'll be a lot of backlash and kind of bad blood between
Black Pierre.
yeah, bad PR, bad blood against with the gamers and Xbox and
I,
Microsoft.
I don't I don't think so. I don't because I'll tell you what. Right now, PlayStation is getting a lot of flack for their games supposedly coming out on PlayStation 4.
Hmm.
Like Spider-Man. People are like, wait a minute. What do you mean these games are going to be out on PlayStation 4? And they're getting burned for that. And that's pretty consumer friendly, if you ask me. And as far as the PlayStation community, and fans, they don't like that. They're like, hey, and I think it's going to be the same thing with these games. You're trying to build yourself a catalog of exclusives for your console only, and putting it out on something else, it's not going to look right in my opinion.
Okay. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen here. I
All right.
think that Xbox is going to make it a timed exclusive. And here's the reason why. Their number one goal is to get people to buy this Games Pass that they have, right? To spend the $10 a month. They're going to let's use you know what? Let's use the new if they come out with a new Doom game, because the Doom games didn't sell that well, right? They were critically acclaimed. People liked them a lot, but they didn't sell that well.
Mm-hmm.
And people were always saying that it's a all the critics were saying it's a really good game. You should definitely buy it. But day one, people weren't buying them. Eventually, when it went on sale, more people bought them. Well, let's look at it this way. Xbox says, all right, these are all our games are going to be timed exclusive. After 6 months to a year, maybe like the not better, but the more popular games like Elder Scrolls, you wait a year. The not so popular games, you wait 6 months. Um, Now, something like Doom, you wait 6 months, and people that have the Xbox and that have Games Pass are already playing it, and they're talking about it. They're saying, "Holy cow, this game is awesome! You got to play Doom." You have the gamers talking about how good this game is, and and people playing on PC are playing this. The only people that don't have access to this are people on the PS5. And what happens when you see somebody having fun, even as a kid? When you have a kid playing with the toy and that you don't have, you want that toy, right? So you wait 6 months. After the 6 months, you bring it out on PlayStation 4, and now you've got all these people. I'm sorry, PlayStation 5. Now you have all the PlayStation 5 fanboys buying it day one because they heard so much about it. There was so much good publicity. They're like, all right, you know what? I got to buy it. I got to buy it. I heard so much good stuff about it. As opposed to just putting the game out to PlayStation 5, people be like, well, all right, I like Doom, but I'm not going to pay the money. No, you bring in that jealousy. You bring it in. You make sure that people are talking about how great this game is, and now people on PlayStation 5 want to play it. And the same thing with the Elder Scrolls. You bring out Elder Scrolls on Xbox for 1 year, and pretty much what's going to happen are people on PlayStation are going to have one or two options. If they really want to play the Elder Scrolls, they're going to have to get Game Pass on either the Xbox. They'll have to buy the Xbox, get Game Pass on that, buy a good computer, and get Games Pass. Well, I guess you don't even need a good computer because it's streaming. But get Games Pass on a computer, or you wait a year and wait for it to come out. What it does, it builds that want that I want to play this game. I really, really want to play this game.
Yeah.
Especially with these IPs that are people have already played on PlayStation. You're not bringing something new in. You're bringing all these companies and all these IPs that people are already used to having, but now you're taking it away from them, and now there's that desire to get it back. I think that they're going to be timed exclusives, and it's going to build that jealousy from PlayStation 5 players to want that, as soon as it comes out for them.
Yeah, I mean, you make some good arguments there, but at the same time, they might do it sort of like what PlayStation's doing right now with like Horizon Zero Dawn. They're leasing it out to to the PC community. I don't know if it's going on Steam or whatever, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about making money. You want to make as much money as you can.
Yeah.
And if they want to, I mean, I'm not arguing. If they want to do it, it's up to them. I'm not going to complain about it. The more of a community gets to play a game, the better, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It just means more money for if it's good for a sequel or another game. So the more people play games, regardless of what system, as long as you're playing it, it's better for the gaming community.
With that said, I do agree 100%. Getting this out to everybody is going to be better for the gaming community.
Mm.
Again, I think if Xbox doesn't share this with the PlayStation 5, I think there's going to be some backlash. There's going to be a lot of hypocrisy, especially because when they were the underdogs, they were so willing to say, we want to share with everybody. We want this community to work, be together. Gaming should be for everybody. And then it'd be it would be a jerk move. And I'm trying to say that without using a different word, to suddenly be the top dog and then say, nope, no, it's not going to happen. We're not going to share with you. There are games now, and we're treating you the way you treated us when you were number one. And that might happen. It might happen.
Yeah.
But again, it'll be awful. And like you said, at the end of the day, it's about making money. And when you spend $7 billion on buying Zenimax, man, you got to make that money back.
You got to make that money back, one way or another, because that is a lot of, like you mentioned earlier, it was mind blowing when Disney bought Star Wars for $4 billion. It was like, oh my God, that's a huge amount of money. And this is almost double that. It's hard to believe, but pretty exciting if you're an Xbox fanboy.
Let me ask this, and maybe you don't have an answer for this. Well, I need to start out. They did say that they were going to give Bethesda and the studios the freedom. They're not going to they're not going to hound them with everything they do. But you mentioned something as far as Star Wars. When Disney bought Star Wars, um, at, they came out with the new trilogy and some other movies. I'm
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to be honest here, and people might not like me for what I'm going to say, but I did not like the new series. I thought the first one was just a rehash of the original Star Wars. I thought the second one they did, I forgot what it's called, Force Awakens. I forgot what the second one is. I thought it was
Yeah.
boring and just stupid. And the last one I just didn't like. It they seem to have forgotten what Star Wars was about. And let me also say this. I'm not a big Star Wars fan. I really if I never see another Star Wars movie, I'm not going to miss out on anything. I'm not the biggest fan. But I do understand like the lore, and I understand that if you're going to create something based on that, you want to keep to that. And and what Disney did, they created these movies that just kind of took so much away from the previous ones, and there was a lot of backlash. There was a lot of backlash to it, where to the point now where a lot of people are like, we don't want any more Star Wars movies. Do you
Yeah.
think that Microsoft will do the same here, where they're going to create, by buying this over? I guess let me ask this: how can they prevent this from happening? They bought 7 billion. The last thing they need to do is pull a Disney and
Hmm.
make these worse games, because we know that Bethesda already came out with Fallout 76, and that received a lot of backlash.
A lot of a lot of
Yeah.
terrible backlash against. Yeah, I mean, their best move is to be like, hey, we're gonna stay out of it. I think they'll stay out of it
Well,
as
let me ask
long
this
as.
before you say that, because I they did remember they received Bethesda has been shown to be screwing up recently, but
Yeah.
Microsoft is saying we're going to give them freedom to do what they need to do. How do you, in your opinion, how do you meet those in the middle? Because if Bethesda is just allowed to do what they need to do, they're going to keep screwing this up, and that's $7 billion down the drain. And if Microsoft gets involved too much, then maybe they pull a Disney. Is there something they can do in the middle?
Yeah, I think they're gonna give them the free reins for. We'll wait and see what their games are at first. But if they suck, like you said, that's a lot of money. They're not just gonna, be like, all right, keep doing whatever you're doing. We're just gonna, twiddle our thumbs. I think they're gonna. It's gonna be like they're going to give them all the freedom they need, but they're gonna watch them with a careful eye.
Mm-hmm.
If you follow what I'm saying, they're gonna look at, they're gonna keep a close eye on what they're doing. And I think at the end of the day, again, they do own Bethesda, and if they're feeling like the game's not going up to par, they're gonna have to step in. They will. They might not at first, but eventually, if they keep making bad games, they'll have to step in.
But so what I'm worried about is like, what game are they working on next, right? Because you say if they keep making bad games,
Yeah.
what if the next game is, the Starfield? That's supposed to be a big hit. If that's a bad game, that's a lot of money just that went down the drain. And we've already seen Microsoft screw stuff up. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite,
Oh
Microsoft,
yeah.
why weren't they keeping an eye on that? What happened
Yeah.
there?
That's a good point. I mean, they let Halo just their main franchise go to the toilet.
Mhm.
No one talks about Halo in the same lore like they did. Like you look at Super Mario Brothers, right, or Mario.
Mhm.
That game's been the franchise, the face of Nintendo for decades already. They don't mess up Star Wars. Um, PlayStation, they have, I guess you could kind of say maybe God of War,
Mhm.
Kratos being like one of their main. I mean, they have so many like mascots, but they don't mess those series up,
Mhm.
And you're right, Microsoft did. They slept on Halo, and and here we are. It's a complete fiasco. And but I guess we gotta wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the answer to it. I don't know how you meet the two where you say we give them freedom, but you've
Hmm.
already, you know, that's, it's like a parent who has a kid that, keeps getting in car accidents and doing drugs and, and flunking out, and you're like, you know what? I trust in you. I'm gonna keep an eye over you, but I give you freedom because I trust you can do what you need to do. it's like, well, no, don't be an idiot. Your kid's, out there smoking dope and, hitting people with his car. You know, you got to
Yeah.
put pull the reins in. You watch over what he does or she, and and at the same time, just you can put some trust in them, but first let them. Maybe what you have to do is before you put trust in them, make sure that they can do something right. You got to say, all right, like I guess a good example would be what Feige did with the Marvel movies. Like they say,
Yeah.
if they have a director, they're like, this is what we want. You can direct the movie, but this is what we want, and maybe we can give you some leeway, but don't go crazy. This
Yeah.
isn't your movie. This is our movie, and they've made billions and billions of dollars.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, because at the end of the day, if Bethesda comes out with a big AAA game that doesn't impress, then PlayStation's just going to be, well, hey, I told you, why are you buying into the Xbox? We've got these excellent games that you can buy that we have, and when you go ahead and release your game on the PlayStation 5, nobody's going to want it because it's junk, you know?
Yeah. 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 You're absolutely right. They have to hit because if not, it's kind of like sort of like with Rare. I mean, Rare at one point, they were making good games, and
Yeah.
Microsoft bought them, and they haven't produced anything for
Yeah, I
them that's
know.
worth playing. And everyone was really disappointed with the Sea of Thieves. When it first they
Yep.
were like, wait a minute, this is an Xbox, Xbox One X game, and it looked like some goofy, sailing game, and
And
just
there was
looked a
a
lot of.
lot of hype from Xbox on that.
Oh man, there was a lot of hype for that, and yeah, it just totally, let everyone down, and
Yeah.
but it's for Microsoft, 7 point, whatever $1 billion is probably like nothing to them. They're like, all right, just do it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, they have a lot more. It is Microsoft. They have a lot
Hmm.
more, but still, it's $7 billion just on this company, and it's not. Let's put it this way: there are people who made these decisions that are right now losing sleep. They are every night thinking, okay, if we don't have this company produce, I'm out of a job because I just made a 7 point X, billion-dollar mistake by choosing to go this route. If this fails, possibly this could be the end of the Xbox as we know it. I mean, why would they
Yeah,
put out any more? It's like, Microsoft would say, you know what, we're done with gaming. They'll go the way of uh, of Sega. We're just like, we're done. We're not making any money. We made some bad decisions. We're done.
yeah. Speaking about Sega, have you heard that another rumor about Microsoft?
Talk about buying Sega, yeah.
Yeah, I think to me that would have been a better move because, say, Microsoft has really struggled in Japan, and when you buy Sega, you're putting all your Yakuzas
Mhm.
on an Xbox, and man, that's a game changer in Japan, I think.
Yes, I think that one would be. And I think I recently heard that I believe Yakuza is like one of the number two or number three selling games out there. I might be wrong on that. I just know it's really big as far as
It's huge over
selling
there.
in Japan.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think maybe that would. I honestly think that buying Bethesda's an excellent choice. But I agree, buying Sega would probably put them out in Japan where nobody in Japan buys an Xbox.
no, no, no one buys one over there, and you're right. Bethesda, it's a great move. It's definitely a move. They don't care. Like I said, right now, everyone knows. All right, like are. It's not how you start; it's how you finish.
Hmm.
Right now, Microsoft, with their new Xbox, it's not going to start strong, obviously. But I think if we don't see anything by next year significant, they're in some problems. But I think next year, for sure, by next holiday, I think a lot of Xbox owners are going to be very, very glad that they purchased an Xbox One X
Yeah, I'm personally gonna hold off now.
or
I'm not.
Xbox Series X.
Yes, or whatever they're called. Speaking of which, did you hear that a bunch of people bought the wrong Xbox on Amazon. They bought the Xbox X,
Yeah, the One
you know,
X. Yeah.
yeah, instead of buying the one that, the newest one. I'm telling you, the
Hmm.
naming is stupid. That's like, well, whatever. We talked about that
Yeah.
already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
We beat that horse to death already.
yeah, that's just all right. So we'll see what happens. Again, for me, that I now feel like I might hold off a little bit to see what's going to happen, um,
Hmm.
because, like you said, by this time next year, when they're talking about what when we've got finally get to see what the games are coming out, and if we get to see if they're timed exclusives or if they're just exclusive forever, or if they're not. Um, I'll get it. I'll have an idea. It's like, is the PlayStation 5 going to be worth it? I mean, what are they now coming out with that is going to compete to? Honestly, Skyrim is. I own that on 3 different consoles, so it's something that I'm one of those suckers. I bought it three
Hmm.
times, so
Yeah,
for
I've done
me,
that myself.
it's gonna. We'll figure it out. So with that said, Jose, let me ask real quick: have you yet to look up what Among Us is, the game?
No, I think I did
No,
last time, but I don't recall.
that's fine.
Is that
Just
the
quickly,
Japanese game?
no, it's
Is that
that
a Chinese
mobile
game?
game. It's like a mobile Steam game. It's the
Oh,
one
I
where
got you.
it's the new craze, and for a while, Fall Guys was the big thing everybody was playing.
Yeah.
Well, that seemed to have died out, and Among Us seems to have taken over. But since neither
Hmm.
of us are really playing, we'll just leave that for the kids. They could talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, same with what was it, Fall Guys?
Hmm.
It was a big. Everyone was talking about it, and I downloaded it. It was the free download of the month for PlayStation Plus subscribers, and I never played it. And I don't know. It just seems like I have to be in a certain mood to play certain games, and
Yeah,
right now I'm just not in that mood.
I did. I did play it again this week. I played one game, and it took a while to get a
Hmm.
game. Usually you would have gotten on right away, but it did take a while. And after playing the one game, I got beat really quick. And I was like, I'm done with this. No need to keep playing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let us now go over. Now, this is an article from. It's on TechCrunch.com. Of course, we'll put a link on our page for this. And this is about, have you heard of this? Amazon announces Luna game streaming platform.
Yeah, I heard something briefly about that, but not too much information on it. But I
Let
did
me
hear something.
let me just quickly go over what it says here. Then you can, give us your thoughts on this. At its device and services event, Amazon launched its own cloud gaming competitor to Google Stadia and Microsoft xCloud. It's called Luna. The company is launching the product in early access at an introductory price of $5.99 per month. Users will be able to stream titles wirelessly without downloading the game and can play across PC, Mac, and iOS via the web. Users in the United States can request early access starting today. Amazon says that they will be launching with more than 50 games in the Luna Plus app, including at least one Sonic title and Remedy Entertainment's Control. The company has also partnered with Ubisoft, but it seems users will have to subscribe separately to get access to those titles. The whole service is powered by AWS. Amazon says the users will be able to play titles up to 4K 60 FPS, that's frames per second, performance. And then one of the big selling points for the platform will be its Twitch integration, which will theoretically allow gamers to dive right into the titles they just saw their favorite streamers playing. And that seems really cool. So, with that said, Jose, what do you think of this?
Same thing like I said earlier with the more people get into gaming, the better.
Hmm.
You know, I'm not into the whole streaming thing. That's just not my cup of tea. I'm a physical owner guy. Me and you are old school guys.
Yeah.
We prefer the case. Sadly they don't make manuals anymore. But I remember when I was a kid and I would buy a video game, the whole ride home would be me reading the manual, just looking at the pictures like, oh man, I can't wait to go home and play these games. Now it's kind of like, just turn on whatever and you're able to play games.
instantly.
Uh,
Yeah.
Instantly, yeah. I mean, the pricing, the introductory price seems pretty cool. It's a nice price, to experiment in. But at the end of the day, it comes down to exclusives. Why are you going to, this again? Why are you going to subscribe to that? You're just going to be like inundated with subscriptions everywhere.
Hmm.
You're going to have a PlayStation one, you're going to have an Xbox one, you have Amazon, Stadia. It just becomes too many. It's like,
It's
it's
gonna
good
be.
and it's bad.
I agree. It's kind of like the Hulu, Netflix, uh,
Yeah.
Amazon Prime. I posted something on our Twitter. I posted on there stating, it said, with all these streaming services, I can't remember exactly what it says, but it was something like, with all these streaming services popping up, when is the next one going to be a free streaming service that puts commercials in the middle of your video games?
Yeah.
You know,
Right,
because that's like
exactly.
what happens now. And I was just joking about it, but again, I could see this happening. At some
Yeah.
point, somebody's gonna say like, "Well, I don't want to pay the $5.99." Then you're gonna have this company, I don't know, company ABC saying, "Well, you can stream for free here," but then they'll pause your game and give you a commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. And that nobody likes that. And it all depends. All of that is new, and it's new right now, but they're definitely looking at the future because that seems to be where it's headed.
Mm.
Streaming games, and yeah, it's going to be like everything else. Who has the better exclusives for you to stream on?
Yeah,
Like look at Netflix, right? They started producing their own content, and before you know it, everyone else started doing it. Everyone wants you to subscribe to them, but you have to give them reason to.
yeah,
And if you're just going to put out FIFAs and Maddens, then why subscribe? You could do that anywhere.
yeah. I
You
agree.
have to you have to have exclusives, and if it ever gets to that point where people are where it just consoles are dead and you just have to start streaming games, I think for me that'll be when I retire from playing new games, and I'll just stick to all my old games.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll see. I think, like you're right. I think we're gonna get inundated with these streaming services, and it's gonna get to the point where people, you're either going to have to pay $30 a month to buy, to stream these. But if they don't offer anything exclusive, then what's the point? You're right. What's the point of getting it? If you have Microsoft X, and then, well, here lies the other problem. What if, people start going exclusive? One goes exclusive to Stadia, the other one goes exclusive to Luna, the other one Xbox, then
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation, and then you got a few other ones that open up. Now, in order to play these games, you either have to buy them, and slowly things are becoming more and more streaming and more online. You have to buy them, or you're paying $80 a month to stream from different services, and that's not what gamers want, man. I mean, there's a reason why piracy exists, and I am in no way condoning piracy. I think you have to pay for games so you can support the developers, but
Mm-hmm.
when you make it so difficult that I can't I can't just play my games like you said, like taking your game home and reading the manual. If I can't, I know I'm never going to do that again because it's almost impossible now. Even when you get a game, there's no manual in there. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if it's going to get to the point where I have to pay every month, I have to buy a whole game to play games, because they're in so many different areas. It just, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe I just go back to playing my old games and say screw it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a back catalog. I'll stick with that.
Yeah, I mean, because then you're going to get Apple doing it, and you're going
Hmm.
to get all these companies starting to do it, and it just becomes like like I said with the streaming services. It's just too many, and I only have one. I only have Amazon Prime, and that's because
Hmm.
it comes with my Amazon Prime. If not, I'd have none. And I don't even have Hulu or or any of that stuff. I used to have them. I used to have Hulu a long time ago, and I wasn't watching it, and I was just paying the subscription, fee every month. I was just like, you know what, this is stupid. I was like, I'm not even watching this or whatever. I'm like, time to cut costs, and
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's go. I'm
not a
sorry. Did
fan.
you have something to say? I'm sorry. You may have cut
No,
out.
I said, yeah, no, I said not a fan of
Gotcha.
the streaming services.
Yeah, we'll see where this goes. It's still early on, so we still have our physical copies. We can still digitally download, but times are changing. We gotta evolve with the kids. So we'll see what happens. So
Right.
for our sixth topic, this is your topic regarding the review of the TurboGrafx Mini. Jose, what do you think of it?
Yeah, man. Well, I gotta say, I've been very impressed. I give it a solid. Um, I'm gonna say I give it a 10 out of 10. I really enjoy
Really,
it. I've enjoyed it. Yeah, I really have. I other than it being a little bit bigger than I thought it was gonna. I mean, it's pretty big.
okay.
If you see it, you're gonna be like, wow, this isn't mini at all. It's more like the medium. But I've really enjoyed it. I really like you know obviously it looks almost identical to the original.
Mhm.
Um, the games are fantastic, other than it missing Legendary Axe, which I was sadly disappointed that it's not
Mhm.
on there. But it has great games. It has Splatterhouse. It has the shooting games. All the shooters. It has Ghouls and Ghosts, the Japanese version, which I thought was pretty interesting to have. Castlevania, the Rondo of Blood, and I've really enjoyed playing it. Like I said, I've been playing it all week. I'm like, oh man, this is great. I put it up in the spare bedroom, and I just go over there and lay on the bed and just start playing all them old school games, and yeah, just having a blast playing them.
Now, have you played? I know last time we looked at it and it said there was Ninja Gaiden. Did you play that one?
Yes, you know what I did. I played. I played it briefly just to see what it looked like, and it looks. It's a lot more colorful than the Nintendo version, but it plays almost the same. I was like, this is not bad. So
So
I don't
it's the
have to worry.
Nintendo, not the arcade version.
Right, right, right. It's the Nintendo version, and just with updated graphics.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Um, so did you play? You say you've been doing some shooters. Have you played Gates of Thunder?
I think so. I've played that. I played R-Type. R-Type is
Okay.
great. Gates of Thunder. I don't remember Gates of Thunder. I played a Lords of Thunder, or I don't know if it's the same
Sorry,
game
thank
or
you.
not.
It's Lords of Thunder. Yeah,
Lords of
Lords of
Thunder.
Thunder.
Okay, yeah, I played that. I also played Blazing Laser. I've been playing a lot of Blazing Lasers. I love that game. Superstar Soldier is great, which is I would imagine is kind of like the sequel to or it's sort of like a follow-up version of Blazing
Okay.
Lasers. What else did I play? Yeah, the Ghouls and Ghosts. I wanted to compare it to the Sega Genesis version. I'm like, oh man, it's a pretty enhanced version. I think it's the CD version of the game. Um, Rondo of Blood. I've been playing that also. Man, I've been having a lot. I'm telling you, Robert, I'm having a lot of fun playing this TurboGrafx Mini.
Yeah, that the Castlevania one's game I've always wanted to play. I
Same
remember
here.
it was expensive even back when it first came out for the TurboGrafx. It was super expensive because I believe it was a Chinese import. You could only give it for the PC Engine.
Oh wow.
And yeah, well, I was gonna say it's kind of weird that it is the TurboGrafx Mini, but technically it's not a TurboGrafx. A lot of those games are from the Turbo CD.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the other cool thing too. I don't know if you heard from any of the reviews, but when you want to play a game, like you
Hmm.
select a game, there's like a little animation of like if you're playing uh, the what do you call the cards, shall we say,
Oh, really?
I don't know what whatever the cartridges.
Yeah.
So when you put it in, like it simulates like you're actually putting it into the TurboGrafx 16. The Hue cards. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's what. Honestly, I thought that's what they were called, but I didn't want to sound too stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hue cards.
Or like if it's a game from like the CD, like it simulates like just a little animation of it like playing on the CD, and it starts
Hmm,
spinning and it makes like the CD noise. I'm like, oh man, this is actually pretty cool.
that's
And
crazy.
yeah, yeah, it's a lot different than my Sega Genesis Mini.
Hmm.
The menu is a lot cooler than the Sega Genesis Mini for sure. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun playing it.
Huh. Um. Yeah. So I'm trying to think like what other games they had on there. So you would say 10 out of 10. Now,
Yeah.
is it 10 out of 10 because of the quality of the games, the nostalgia, the fact that, what, in your opinion, what would, like, if somebody else, let's say a another 40-year-old man and
Mhm.
and let's say you had a 15-year-old kid, what would, for both of them, would it be a 10 out of 10 for both of them? Or would one of them be like, well, it's a 10 out of 10 if you're 40 because it's that nostalgia. But for the 15-year-old kid,
Yeah.
well, you're not going to like it. Or would you say for both of them it's a 10 out of 10?
Yeah, I think definitely for our generation, it's the nostalgia thing, and but it has a lot of great games. It looks great. The control has a long cord, so you don't have to worry about like sitting
Okay.
right in front of a 55-inch TV and burning your retinas. It has a long cord. It's you have save states, so you could save the game wherever. You don't have to start all over like when we were kids, or once we lost continues.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think definitely it's a nostalgia thing because I always wanted a TurboGrafx when I was a kid, but you can only get one or the other,
Yeah.
right, when you're younger. And what sold me on a Genesis was Altered Beast. I played that in an arcade in
Oh yeah.
Mexico, and I fell in love with it. And
Was
when
it
I found out that that was
Rise
the
from the Oak Wave?
well, yeah, I mean, playing it on the Genesis, just hearing that was like mind blowing. Like, oh
Yeah.
my God, it talks. And yeah, that for me was the system seller, Altered Beast. But deep down, I love TurboGrafx. Like even the commercials. I don't know if you remember the commercials.
They
And
were, I believe the TurboGrafx ones were very much aimed for that, like, that early 90s, late 80s edgy kid,
yes,
the one with the put on the sunglasses, and he'd be like, he was the Zach Morris of the group.
yeah, I secretly always wanted a TurboGrafx, and sadly, I
I
just
was like,
couldn't afford it.
I thought you were gonna say you always secretly wanted to be Zach Morris.
Oh no, no, never that. Although he did get Kelly Kapowski, so it wouldn't have been a bad thing.
um, yeah, that was, yeah, the TurboGrafx was, it was the underdog. It was always the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. I mean, the Nintendo already had its claws in the market. Of course, you had the Genesis, which is, what is it? Sega does what Nintendo don't. They were
Mhm.
also edgy. But then, yeah, the TurboGrafx was, it was a competitor, but some reason people didn't really catch on.
Yeah, it just never caught on for whatever reason. I had great games, and I remember like just seeing the huge, what was the China Warrior? The
Hmm.
huge sprites on the commercials. I'm like, man, that thing is massive.
Yeah.
Compared to like Kung Fu, and yeah, just for whatever reason, just never caught on. And it's cool to have, 30 years later, a little mini version of it at home. That with so many games. And I was watching this one video on YouTube where they added up the price of all the games, if you were to buy them physical
Hmm.
compared to the ones that you already have in your system. It came out to like thousands of dollars worth of
Yeah.
games that you have on your TurboGrafx Mini. So it's a hell of a buy.
Especially if you're gonna buy them now, because right now those
Yeah.
TurboGrafx games are collector's items. A lot of them are. The one
Hmm.
thing I do remember with the TurboGrafx when I had it, that I was always jealous of other systems. There were two things that other systems had that the TurboGrafx didn't. One was they had fighting games, like you had your Mortal Kombat and you had your Street Fighter. Um,
Yeah.
Now I do own actually Street Fighter for the TurboGrafx, but it was a Japanese import, and it was extremely rare. And you had to have a cartridge that um, you had to have like a special a special little hookup or something for the TurboGrafx. So that was kind of weird. The other thing that the Genesis and the Super Nintendo had was you guys had brawlers where, like, you had
Yeah.
your Golden Axe, you had the games where you could go. It didn't just go left and right. You could actually go up. It would be up. You go up and down, left and right into like a brawler kind of thing, like Final
Hmm.
Fight. Um, you know,
Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage, things like that. You had that. TurboGrafx didn't have that. Um, TurboGrafx, like you said, did have the bright sprites. They had the bigger, like, you had your Bonk, your Splatterhouse, and it was great. But it just didn't. It lacked that. it didn't have those games that, when I would look at other kids, other commercials, you'd be like, oh man, I'm not going to get that for my game. But again, nobody got the games, a lot of the TurboGrafx games these other systems didn't get, you know.
Yeah, I think the TurboGrafx, what they had a lot of is a lot of shooting games, a lot of
Mhm.
shooters. And, because that's one thing I did notice when I was playing it as well. They don't have, like you said, like a Streets of Rage kind of game or something, that's entertaining like that, right? Like
Mhm.
your beat 'em ups. But I think a lot of that is also because the beat 'em ups might have come out at a time when the TurboGrafx was probably already dying.
Maybe.
And it was probably already dead here in America, and they didn't get a chance to maybe make a good beat 'em up for that, because you're right, they just exploded in the early '90s,
Yeah.
for Super Nintendo and for the Sega Genesis, and
Now,
yeah, that's one. Oh, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, yeah, that's surely a genre that's missing on the TurboGrafx.
Did you end up beating Splatterhouse?
Did I beat it? No,
Yeah.
I've played it though.
Oh,
I was
are you
gonna
get?
play. I haven't played it for the TurboGrafx Mini. I was waiting for October.
Oh, okay. All right, you got to beat it. So when I went to college, I loved Splatterhouse. That
Hmm.
TurboGrafx game, I beat it so many times. And when I always knew that there was even when I was a kid, when this came out, whatever. It came out when I was like maybe in eighth grade or a freshman in high school. But I knew that there was a Japanese version, which was the arcade, but I never
Hmm.
saw it anywhere. And the big difference in the arcade was it was a little more like, for example, in one of the levels they've got like these, I think they're like severed heads that are circling around a character, but in the middle they also have the severed heads, but it's an upside down cross, and
Yeah.
that's the Japanese version. And when it came to America, of course, people are like, you are not going to put an upside down cross in a game in America, not in the late 80s, early 90s, because the second you do that, people are going to say you're worshiping the devil and,
Yeah.
you know, killing kitties and puppies. So they they changed a lot, and that wasn't it. They changed other things too. But when I went to college, we had what do they call it, a rec room,
Hmm.
they had
Hmm.
pool. And I remember as soon as I walked in, I was a freshman, or no, it was my orientation. And I look over and I saw Splatterhouse, the arcade game. Holy cow, man. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna come to this. I'm gonna play that game. And of course, I was uh I was 18, trying to get, a freshman. I wanted to play cool. I didn't want to be too much of a geek. I was trying to mingle with the ladies, which
Right.
that went nowhere. But
Like, hey, you want to play some Splatterhouse with
yeah,
me?
yeah, that's gonna go well. Hey, baby, what do you think of Mario?
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so I saw that, and then when I finally started up at the school, the arcade game was broken. I
Oh
never got to
no,
play the arcade game. Yeah, one day,
that's
one
that
day.
sucks. Isn't there something like special about that? Like, I remember I got that. I had ghouls. That happened to me with Ghouls and Ghosts, right?
Hmm.
I had it for the Sega Genesis. That's probably one of my favorite games of all time, Ghouls and Ghosts. And I remember I went to Great America, and Great America has an arcade, right?
Hmm.
And I saw Ghouls and Ghosts, the arcade version, and I was like you, I was like, holy cow, there's an arcade version of my favorite game. So I told my buddy, he's like, oh my God, look, it's Ghouls and Ghosts. I have this at home. And it's so weird that me and you were we're kind of like the same pea in a pod, because he just didn't understand why I would want to play it when I already had it at home. And I was just
Yeah.
like, dude, this is the arcade version. And it just didn't, he just couldn't comprehend.
Yeah, and at that time the arcade versions were so much better than like the other ones.
Yeah.
Like, it
The
was,
home consoles,
yeah,
or the home versions, I mean.
but that was, well, we'll talk again. Let's keep us up to date with your your TurboGrafx mini games, and then if you beat one, tell me what you think. But definitely, I want to touch base with you when you play. I'd like to go over the Splatterhouse game when you play it, or send me. You know
All
what?
right.
send me a text when you start playing that because I can use. I'll be honest, I can beat that game probably in about. I'm not bragging or anything, but
Sure, sure.
I
I
think
could beat it with my eyes closed.
I could probably beat that maybe in an hour, hour and a half. It's not a long game. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, just tell me when you're gonna play that way. I'll jump back on and I'll play that one.
All
All
right.
right. So let's talk about our topic. And I don't know if you had a chance to see it. We won't stay too long on it because we got to go to our creepy side. But uh, the topic was, let me ask this. What TV or movie would you want to see made into a game?
Yeah, that's a good topic.
And what type of game?
What type of game? I already know off the top of my head because I always wondered why they never did a good version of it. But this is like a kid version, so this is not like now.
Okay.
But when I was younger, I never understood why they couldn't make a good Conan game, Conan the
Mhm.
Barbarian, because that was like one of my favorite movies. And I'm like, man, why can't they make, although Golden Axe is sort of like a Conan the
Mhm.
Barbarian, it
It's very
wasn't
much a
Conan the
Conan.
Barbarian. Yeah, I mean, it was Conan other than the name,
Yeah.
but I wanted to see the sword. I was like, when I was younger, when I was a kid, I was like, man, I would love to see like a game of Conan the Barbarian, but sadly, I never got it.
You know they got a Conan game right now, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They have a new one, but
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. Like when I was a kid,
Oh, you're
I
a
was
kid.
like, yeah,
Okay.
I never got it as a kid. I know they have the new one now, Conan. I
Exiles.
forgot what Exiles. Yeah,
Mhm.
it looks pretty interesting, but I don't care no more. I don't care as much about Conan like I did when I was a kid.
um, yeah, Conan Exiles is um, it's a fun game. It's like a survival game. Let me take that back. It's it has the potential to be a fun game, but like all survival games, you have to like always you always have to eat, then chop down wood, then eat, chop down wood. It gets to the point where it's really repetitive
Mhm.
and it just gets I got addicted to it for like a week, and then afterwards I'm like, oh, I'm gonna build this huge fortress. It literally looked like the shed in the back of my house. And at that point I said, nah, you know what? I'm done with this. It took me a week to build a shed in Conan where I probably could have built one in real life in less time.
Probably a
So I'm
lot
like,
cooler too.
screw this. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So any other games you would say, or any other TV shows you would say, I want this as a game, or
Yeah,
movies?
probably He-Man, the
Oh,
He-Man
that's a good
universe.
one. We
Yeah,
talked about
it
this
just
last week.
did we? Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, it just got lost in the shuffle. Like they never made a good He-Man game, or they
Mhm.
never made, at least that I know of, they never made anything for He-Man.
You know what? Not that I know of. I bet you there has to be a Masters of the Universe game, but
Yeah,
I just don't know of one.
yeah, and if they did, like you said, if they did make one, it had to have sucked because we
Yeah,
never heard of it.
yeah. I mean, there's gotta be. Hold on. Why don't you
Masters of the
tell
Universe.
us what you would want in the Masters of the Universe game?
Oh man, see, that would have to be like a beat 'em up. Same thing like with Golden Axe, right? I mean, you have He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. You have the co-op. You could have a Tila on it or a Man at Arms. You could have Oracle come out and do like special like magic as a power up or like a special or something like that. Trying to battle against Skeletor. It'd be a great game. If it would still be a great game, even if they made it now. I mean, they just did like a Streets of Rage 4
Hmm.
game that just came out recently. I don't know why they just can't do a He-Man game.
All right. So there have been multiple He-Man games, including an arcade game,
Hmm.
and this was back in 1987, and it also came out for the Commodore 64. And there was even one as recent as says He-Man Defender of Grayskull in 2005.
Really?
There was one for the Masters of the Universe movie in '87. Is an action adventure game. I guess honestly, Jose, they were probably really bad because you're right.
Yeah,
I never heard of these games.
I've never heard of them either, so they had to have been pretty terrible games.
Yeah, my choice would be something more recent. There's a TV show that I really like. It's called. Have you ever heard of a TV show called Terriers?
No.
So it's about these private detectives that they're kind of they both one of them used to be a cop, but then he fell out because of like he had problems with alcohol, and then the other one wasn't a cop. He was kind of a burglar that met him when he was a cop. So it's like it's a show it's a drama, but it's also kind of a comedy, and it was a really good show. Only lasted one season. A lot of it has to do with the fact that it's called Terriers, and people, they think it's like, is it a show about dogs? Which that's what I
Yeah.
thought it was too. I actually didn't watch it till the reruns, and I'm like, holy cow, this is unbelievably good. And what I would think, and it ends on it ends not on a cliffhanger. You know what? It does end on a cliffhanger where one of the main characters is going to jail, and he's being driven out there by his friend, the other main character. And they're at a stop sign, and the main character looks to his left. He's like, "Hey, look, if I make a left here, we can go straight to Mexico, and we could just live on the beach and do our own thing. If I make a right, you're gonna go to prison." And he's gonna go to prison just for a couple of years or so. He's like, "What do you want to do?" And it stops right there, and that's how it ends. But and this show came out 10 years ago, and it's still one of my favorite shows. I would love to have had a conclusion even now. I mean, they're a lot older now, so I would think that you could do it like on a like Telltale series, like The Walking Dead and all that, like a choose your own adventure kind of game where you you do like a 5 arc series, because the show itself had a really good overall storyline, and between each episode, every now and then, every 2 to 3 episodes, it would be like a standalone, but it would still follow the main story of what's going on, which is this like mysterious killing of the main character's friend. Any listeners out there, if you get a chance, I don't know what it's on. I know it's streaming on some service, but take a chance and check out the show Terriers. Again, for me, I think doing a Telltale series where it's more important the story itself, but you can choose your own, how you want it to be told, I think would have been a great way to continue that storyline. And that's mine. That's a TV show that I think would be awesome to have as a video game.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like a sort of like a Detroit Becomes Human kind of game. We get to pick your own decisions in a game. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be like a Detroit Become Human, but it's set like again, it's set in modern day. They're detectives, and again, don't think they're like detectives like Columbo. They're kind of like Joe Schmoes who are just trying to get by in life, and they're average people. And again, a lot of the comedy is in the fact that it's just basic guys that just they're down on their luck and crazy things happen to them. So it's an excellent show. I showed my friend, my buddy Mike. I told him to watch it, and afterwards he came to me. He's like, "Yep, love the show," and he was a big fan.
And you said that show came out like 10 years ago?
10 years ago now. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna look it up myself.
Yeah, check it out. Tell me what you think. Like even from the first episode, it's like, and it's not a show that is gonna turn people off because it's like too gritty, too anything, and it's also not sappy. It's just kind of like it's perfectly in the middle. It just had a lousy name for a show. So,
Terrier, yeah.
with that said, do you have any other choices, or do we go to our creepy part?
Yeah, no, we can head to our creepy part. I think
right.
we've geeked enough on with the video game stuff.
All right, so we're gonna so to our listeners, we're gonna start the next episode, or I'm sorry, our second half, where we're gonna start reading a thread. This is based on a story, a Reddit story, which I found, and I'll go into a little detail after I read it about its authenticity and what we think about this. But until then, we do have to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Once upon a time in Brazil, my companion and I were approached by a seemingly homeless man who greeted us in almost perfect English. Turns out he was an American who had been living in Brazil for about 30 years. His name was Bickford. He had to have been in his late 50s to 60s. It was hard to tell because of his big beard and very unkempt appearance. No joke, he looked exactly like Brian David Mitchell's long-lost twin brother. He tells us he's interested in what we were peddling and asks for a copy of the Book of Mormon. but is clearly more excited to be speaking English with two Americans. We meet up with him a few times to discuss religion, but he would always meet us at the side of the road or some other public but still semi-secluded place. We had to give weekly reports to the ward's bishop about who we were meeting and teaching. After meeting Bickford a few times, we bring him up in our weekly meeting. Suddenly, the bishop and his other leaders instantly know who we are talking about and caution us to stay away from this guy. They tell us that he's a bit unstable and once or twice a year will start bothering the missionaries. My companion and I can't believe that the bishop is referring to the same person. Bickford always acted like he had never met other missionaries, so we continue meeting with him. I don't know how to adequately describe the creepiness of this guy. Between his disheveled appearance, flat out lying to us, and other small, unsettling signs, he had a sinister vibe. But with nothing concrete to put our finger on, we continued to speak to him. At this point, he was a curiosity, and a bit of an inside joke in our district. In the fast-paced, exciting world of missionary work, we welcomed the break from the norm. It got a little weird, though, when occasionally he would run into us right outside of the house we lived in. One night, after talking about his house in the jungle and how nice and wonderful it was out there, he agrees to have us meet him at the side of the road in front of his house, so he can guide us down to the path to his house. The time arrives and we are waiting patiently by the side of the road, but Bickford is very late. As it starts to get dark outside, we decide to give up and head home, but we happen to spot him in a bar. We duck inside the bar to get him. And since we needed one more lesson to make today a successful day, we agree when he offers to show us to his home for a quick lesson. At this time it's very dark, and we are walking through the waist-high foliage. This area had roads and cities, but was right next to a large reservoir, and if you left the main roads, could become very isolated and overgrown very quickly. As we walked down this path for what seemed like forever, I kept walking into spider webs with my face I kept walking into spider webs with my face and almost losing my expletive. I hate spiders, and the ones in Brazil were the stuff of nightmares. Luckily, I carried a small LED flashlight, but it seemed woefully underpowered out there in the jungle. After walking through the jungle for what seemed like forever, we finally arrived at his house. My companion and I played it cool, but we couldn't believe what we were seeing. He had led us to a small clearing where there was a wooden cabin and had half collapsed on itself. He said, "Welcome home," and led us inside. There was no electricity, no running water, no utilities whatsoever. We walked in the front door frame, no door, and saw that all the furniture in the house had been destroyed. It was quite clear that someone had concentrated a large amount of effort and time to achieve this level of destruction. Chairs were unrecognizable, and there was trash everywhere on the bare cement floor. He begins showing us the main room inside the front door, and that's when I noticed them. Notes, written in chalk, on every square inch of the wooden walls, up the walls, on the ceiling, in a tiny, frenzied scrawl. When I trained my eyes on the notes and started to read them, it got real. Most of the notes were variations on "Jesus will forgive me, but I have to stop. I did it again." These with the time and date written next to them, and the piece de resistance, the names of several children, with their ages and graphic sexual detail about them. We tried so hard to not mention the notes. We tried so hard to ask him small talk questions about the rotting food on the stove, or the 100 or so rats he kept in his basement. Anything but mentioning the notes. It took everything I had to resist the urge to just start running, but I was freaking the F out. From glances at each other, I could see that my companion was at DEFCON 1 as well, and we decided to get the hell out of there as quickly as humanly possible, but without arousing suspicion. We made some excuse, as it was getting late, that we needed to get home, and he reluctantly offered to show us the way back, on the condition that we would come visit again. As we get out of the house, he suddenly remembers that he knows a shortcut, and tells us to follow him. The direction he's trying to lead us is clearly not the way back to the road. It only led deeper into the jungle. We politely decline, but he stops in his tracks and begins to strongly insist that we go through his shortcut. All three of us could feel the air was thick with tension. We once again affirm that we would be heading back the original way, and he relents. Luckily, we were able to follow the trail that we had originally made through the underbrush. This time, however, I did not give a blank about the spiders. When we got back onto the road and realized we were safe, we looked at each other as if to say, did that really happen? Once we started talking about what we had just seen, I was so terrified that I physically could not speak. Nothing like that had ever happened to me, nor since. I absolutely could not make a sound. I was so scared. My companion called our leaders, who called their leaders, and we ended up moving out about a week later, but not before making an entry into our area book. The area book that stays in the area listing who had been talked to and who to contact in the area. It warned all other missionaries to stay away from this guy. Our leaders told us not to report it to the police since we weren't supposed to get mixed up in local concerns. But we told a second counselor in the ward, who was a state police officer. My companion and I both left the area a week or so afterwards, so I don't know how the story ends. I realize the entire ordeal sounds completely cliche. Everything about Bickford did. That's why after our second conversation with them, I started recording every time we would meet with my digital camera. I would set it on audio record mode and stick it in my pocket. And in this article, he does attach a copy of the recording, which I'm going to share with you now.
Do you have a light in here?
No, nothing. There's nothing. No. There's only water. There was light, but the people stole the wires all the way to the gate.
Yeah.
So I have to, next time we ask for light, it will be from this street close to here. So they doesn't have to put the wire in such a long way.
Yeah.
This is another room.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. This was a bedroom.
It was a bedroom. Ages ago.
Ages ago. Who lived here before you did?
I beg pardon?
Do you know who lived here before you did?
Before me, well, before me was Paulo and his wife who took care of this place while I went to China.
Yeah. That's neat. Did they have the bed set up and everything?
Yeah, there was bed, stove, and sofa, everything here. No, there's nothing. But if you want to live here, you just have to, you know, paint it again and bring your furniture and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Do you write yourself notes on the...
Sometimes I do.
It's neat.
I have electronic schedule. How do you call it? Electronic agent.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But now it's in some phone there.
I got it.
I wrote on every wall. I like to register things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the rats, the little mouse.
Oh, is this about the rats?
Yeah. Last April, no, January 7th, I bought 4 females and 1 male.
And that's just a bit of what was included in the recording. I will of course add a copy to our website, or I'll include a link. With that said, we'll be right back. Okay, Jose, are you there?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Did you get a chance to listen to that and the story and everything?
Yeah, that's definitely man, a lot to digest.
So let me go over a little background on this. And so this is written by Swift Justice 25. I did a little research as far as to see what his other stories, anything else he's posted on Reddit. This was a Reddit post. It was included in a section about it's like, what are the creepiest things you've heard on Reddit? This was included on ex-Mormon. So it's stories about Mormons who tell they tell stories about what happened to them when they were a Mormon. They're not supposed to be scary in any way. They're just, hey, when I was a Mormon, I had a leader who was a jerk, or this is the reason I left the church, things of that nature. So it's just people who used to be in that church telling their stories about why they're no longer Mormons. But again, I found this in a certain area where it's like, what are the creepiest things you've read on Reddit? So I did a little research and I looked up Swift Justice 25 to see what his previous posts were. He doesn't have any other posts where he puts anything about creepy things that happen. He doesn't have any other posts where he, fabricates tales. A lot of his other posts, I think, are usually just asking about advice, like, what do I do for a job interview, etc. So that's why when I read this, I'm like, this seems realistic enough. Again, it is Reddit. You do take everything with a grain of salt. You don't know who the people are. They could be lying. But it's not like this was his only post, and it wasn't his last post, and it wasn't he had multiple posts that were similar to this. So with that said, this story, it caught my eye. I read it and I'm like, this is scary because I think this is legit. I think that they were on a missionary trip in Brazil and they ran into somebody who has done awful things to people, to children, and he's just under the radar.
Yeah, he's in a jungle, definitely, out of the locals' view, and man, just sounds terrible, terrible.
I mean, put yourself in their shoes. You've got somebody, you're a missionary, you're out there trying to, spread your word or whatever. If you don't like it or do like it, whatever, it doesn't. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that they're out doing what they believe is right at that time, and you meet this guy who, I mean, imagine that he invites you into his jungle in the hut. I honestly don't think I would even go into the jungle late at night, let alone with some random homeless. I guess he's not homeless, but disheveled guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would not. I'd be like, you know what? Why don't we go during the day? I would not be going at night.
Yeah.
And then to get there and see, like, the whole place is messed up. It's disheveled. It's furniture is broken, and then on top of everything, you've got these notes on the wall with names, ages of children, and what he's done to them. That is insane.
Yeah, this is one of those where I really hope it's not true because, who knows what this guy, if it's real, what he could have done to those kids, either sexually and what he might have done with them afterwards, like, oh man, it just sounds, sadly, I hate to say this, but in this day and age, it really wouldn't shock me,
That's the scary thing. It wouldn't either. It wouldn't shock me. Look, this guy is in Brazil. Brazil. I mean, Brazil probably has its nice places, but the way it seems like with this guy, it might not be nice. You got kids that are living on the street that if they go missing, Nobody's going to know.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares exactly. And the one thing that when I read this that extremely infuriated me to the point where it really, really pissed me off was the fact that they told the leaders there, and the leaders said that they weren't supposed to get mixed up in local concerns, right? That's what the leader said. Well, excuse me, Mr. Mormons and Mrs. Mormons, but you're out there preaching to the local people, what you're out there as a missionary preaching to them. You are getting mixed up in their local concerns. That's like, if a Jehovah's Witness knocks on my door and they're here to tell me about the Word of God, and I'm like, and as they're there, I start to get stabbed by somebody. I'm like, I can't open the door. I'm getting stabbed. Call 911. And they leave. They're like, well, you know what? He didn't open the door. You know what? You came to bother me, and now that I actually need your help, you are up and leaving. No, that's not the way it works. If you are a preacher, if you are a man or woman of God, you are going to say, you know what? This is not about their local concerns. This is about saving the any other children from being hurt, or saving anybody else from being hurt, or making sure that this person suffers. You can't pick and choose your battles. You can't say, well, that's not a concern of ours. We can't get involved in that. But then get involved in preaching, what you believe in on the people there. It doesn't work both ways. You have to do both, or you do none. Sorry, I was getting a little rant there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. Like, I have nieces and nephews. They're all under the age of 10, and I love being around them. And just the thought of somebody doing, just evil things to children is just, beyond the evil. This goes on a whole different level of I don't know. I can't even put a word to describe it, because I love my nieces and nephews. I love, just making them laugh and seeing them happy. Like, I want to see them happy. Like, just the thought of somebody causing pain to children, who are so innocent. It's just, beyond words. I really hope this is not true, because if it is, then. God have mercy on that dude, man, on that guy, because there's no way, he might not pay for it on this lifetime, but believe me, he's gonna pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing, like, if this is made up, they did a good job. I mean, they even have like their little they have the whole SoundCloud, which goes on. I mean, it's a long it's a very long conversation they have with them, and I do apologize about the quality, but this was all recorded when he had the recorder. He had the phone in his pocket, so he was recording it there. Now, I do want to state that our writer of this, he does state this. He says, after I got home from my mission, I contacted and made a report to both local police in the area, along with Brazilian federal police. If ROTA, which is a state-level SWAT team without all those pesky try not to shoot people rules, has any say in that matter, Bickford's rats have probably already disposed of his body. So hopefully, something happened out there where, his reporting, because when he got back, he stopped listening to these to his leaders in the Mormon church, and he went straight to the authorities, which is a good thing if this is actually what was happening. Now, again, this man just may be a man who's mentally unstable, but I mean, come on, when they left the place, if this is true, he was asking to follow him into another shortcut that led into the jungle, which went the different direction. I'm going to tell you this. This is something that happened to me when I was 21 or so. So no, you know what? I think I might have been 20. We were some friends and we were going to Jewel, and this guy comes up and he's like, hey, you want me to buy you some liquor? And we're like, yeah, I guess so. We were just being dumb 20-year-olds. So the guy's just like, well, follow me over here. Follow me over here. I'll take you around. This is where we can get into the jewel. And we're like, no, the jewel's entrance is this way. And I think it was just my buddy and I. And we're like, no, 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 no. The jewel's entrance is this way. He's like, no, 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 it's this way. Follow me. I'll get you. It's gonna be cheaper over here or something. And this was in Chicago. And my buddy's like, he looks at me. He's like, well, should we go? I'm like, I guess. And then my buddy stops me. He's like, wait, Rob, let's just go. Let's just go. Go, go, go. So we leave. I'm like, and I asked him like, what happened? He's like, dude, he was leading us over there, and behind the bushes there was somebody crouched, and I saw him crouched over there. And I'm like, holy crap, we were about to something was about to happen to us, because they knew we had money because we were going to Jewel, and they were leading us to get, who knows what would have happened. But when I read that part of the story, it totally reminded me of this, where the guy's just like, follow me this way,
Yeah, and who knows, who knows what to say, if he was going to do anything to them, he might have wanted to show them more stuff,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he could have been like, here, he could have led them to where he's like keeping bodies or something, who knows? Because even the audio, I don't know, the audio to me sounded legit, it didn't sound like it was some made up stuff. It did sound like, it's from definitely somebody who wasn't all there mentally, but just because they're not there mentally, doesn't give them the right to do evil things, like.
Well, absolutely. And also, again, he may just be somebody who has a mental issue, broke down, and these are all just things that are popping in his head, and none of it is true. But at the same time, that's why you call the authorities. You have them, inspect. You have them look into it, investigate, and they make the decision. It's not the Mormon leaders who are there to say, well, no, we can't get involved. Again, you are there in getting involved in everybody's own life by preaching what you believe. Well, if you are truly a man or a woman of God, then you know that when people need help, you need to intervene also. That's exactly, any good Christian would say, yes, you need to step in here. This isn't, I mean, to bring a little humor, but this isn't Star Trek. This isn't that, what is it, that first rule of Star Trek where you don't get involved in, other beings, you don't get involved in other planets that haven't had any contact with, with the Federation. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. If there's issues going on, you report it. And yeah, I mean, again, it may not be true, but this story, where it was placed, where I found it, and again, with looking at the background of this person, he's either, he's really good at, telling, building up like the whole scenario.
Suspense.
Yeah, he's good at building suspense, good at building a scenario. His all the other stories are totally different than this. But again, I do have a feeling that this might have been something that he witnessed, which is extremely disturbing and scary.
Yeah, it's. I mean, man, it just sounds. This is as creepy as it gets. It's like, oh man, can you imagine like just going in there and seeing all kind of like weird, chalk writings all over the house, of things that, asking God to forgive him for what he's done to these poor children. It's, and the thing that makes me believe that it can be real is that it happens in Brazil. Like you said, there's a lot of slums in Brazil. I'm sure lots of kids are missing and go missing, and like you said, sadly, they don't care. It's like they're poor, kids disappear all the time, I'm sure. And, they either run away, from trying to escape, what misery, they're living in, in these, well, I don't know if they're villages in Brazil, but, small cities or small towns, that, where there's no future. So I'm sure lots of kids, like everywhere else, like every other poor country, they want to escape and try to, make something better for themselves, even as kids. And, yeah, I mean, it could definitely be a real story.
And look, I mean, if you're a sick man, or woman, I guess, but usually it's, guys. I mean, if you're a sick man that, gets their kicks doing this, I guess going to places like Brazil would be a place you would go to. I mean, it's going to be,
Yeah.
hey, this is a place that, like you were saying, that kids are going to be out on the streets. You do have a lot of orphans, and they take advantage of that,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's an awful thing. And again, hopefully this isn't true. Hopefully this is just a made up story that was really well told. And but again, I'll put a link to this story. I'll let you guys make the decision to say, hey, is this, what do you guys think? And you guys can tell us if you believe if it's real, if it's fake, or if you guys have any other information on this one. I've never heard about the story, and I found it interesting and something that we could bring up on today's topic.
Yeah, it's definitely like I said, it's as creepy as it gets. Sadly, it's in a different kind of creep kind of level. But yeah, I've never heard of it myself. It's an interesting story, and I think the audio is what makes it even more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like makes it more like, what, I think this could be real.
Yeah.
And just sad. Hopefully it's not. I really hope that it's not true. But in today's day and age, I'm sure something like that happens all over, wherever, even in this country. I wouldn't be surprised if there's people that like go around and kidnappings and who knows what they do to poor kids.
Yeah. But like I said, at least not I said, but hopefully out here we have more, we do more, I guess, or I would think we do more. Usually don't see, personally me, I can't think of any time I've seen like just a homeless kid out on the street. I know they're out there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not ignorant to that idea, or that I'm not ignorant to understand that there are homeless children, but it's just not rampant. I don't see it. I know when I went to Mexico, there were kids, asking, selling chiclets, and you could tell that they were not that well off and begging for money. I have not really seen that in, out here in the Chicago area.
No, you're absolutely right. I've gone to Mexico too, and you could see the kids, like you said, out there. Like I remember we were going to go wash our car, and like about 10 kids jumped on our car, asking if they could wash the car for us, And it's sad to see so many kids in poverty. Our country is so lucky that we don't get to see it. Like you said, at least not out on the streets. That maybe at home, kids are probably starving, but they at least have somewhere to go. They're not out on the streets like they are, in Mexico and other parts of the world.
Yeah. So that's our creepy story of the day. We'll next week we'll figure out something. Maybe we'll do something a little more lighthearted, more like an urban legend. And then if you guys want to email us about this story, tell us what you think about that. You can always email us at geekerscreeperscast@gmail.com. Also, if you want us to add any more to the our creepy segment, we're still trying to, this is still a work in progress. We're still kind of changing things up, each week. But if you have any questions, want us to talk about something, definitely send it out to us. And of course, as far as the our geeky topics, if you have any questions, if you have anything you want us to talk about, any topics you want us to bring up, or your own opinions about things we brought up, about what you think is going to happen with the Bethesda sale, what you think is going to happen with the streaming services now, what you guys think of the new Resident Evil trailer. If you get a chance, I'll put a link to that. Hopefully they won't be taken down, that Netflix show. Tell us what you guys think. We'd definitely love to hear that. Of course, with that said, I know that this last story was a little more on the realistically, depressing side. But, to our listeners out there, I want you to but just know that with every bad thing out there, there is still good in the world, and there are good people, and be it people that are stopping these actions from happening, or just your neighbors or your friends. In general, there are good people. It's not like this, and I don't want people to feel down after listening to our show. So, as I said, there's always people out there, people to talk to, people to listen to. There, with every bad, there must be much better in the world, and there is.
Yeah, and it's definitely a different. It's a good mix up for the show, I think.
Mhm.
Because we've gotten into this is a more serious topic, but it's definitely creepy. It
Mhm.
fits the category of our show, and that doesn't mean that we're not going to explore these kind of subjects, later on in the show as well. Granted, sometimes we do have a lot of fun, but sometimes sadly, with the creepy stuff, that's what makes it creepy. That
Mhm.
it's just hard to believe, or it's not always going to have a happy ending.
Yeah, but again, guys, there's always good things in the world. Trust me, there's always good
Yes,
things.
always
Um,
good things.
and so with that said, Jose, do you have anything else we have to say here?
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow, I recently found out, just yesterday actually, they are releasing Panzer Dragoon for the PS4, the remake.
Oh,
So I was
huh.
like, my jaw dropped because I thought it was a Switch exclusive, and I don't have a Switch. So I will be purchasing that tomorrow, or and as soon as I get home from work, it'll be on the download list. And yeah, just keep playing my Turbo Graphics. I'm gonna try and sneak some in before bed tonight.
Cool.
And yeah, I look forward to next week. What about you, Robert? What are your plans?
As far as this week, I was going to. Well, I gotta do some editing for the show. I did want to play a little bit of stream a little bit of Dead by Daylight. Oh, by the way, everybody, I do stream Dead by Daylight, and pretty soon the next podcast I'll put I'll maybe give a schedule out, and I'm gonna hopefully start streaming under Geekers Creepers. Any listeners, if they want to watch, they're more than welcome. You guys can make fun of me to see how bad I am. Um, but then, of course, I got work to do this week, and probably gonna play some
Damn
different games.
work.
Maybe I'm gonna finish. I do want to finish the GTA, that last level, so I might go back and do that. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been on the last level of Batman Arkham Knights as well. I've just delayed it for like a long time, and maybe
yeah,
I'll jump into that as well.
yeah. I'm one of those. I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't want to forget how to play the game because then I'm never gonna go back
Yeah,
to it. So I'm like, I gotta
right.
finish it. So maybe I'll do it. You know what? I will do it this week. Um,
When's the last time you played it?
I was about a week ago, and I just
Oh,
like
okay.
it got so tough. I'm like, I got, I'm done. But I
Yeah.
gotta do it. I want to say I completed that game.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's the plans for this week. And so, okay, also everybody, we also do have a Twitter, and we're at Geekers Creepers. So please feel free to follow us. Again, it's at Geekers Creepers, all one word. You can follow us, Jose and I. Every now and then we post about, if it's a creepy thing we see, that we want to post an article on, or if it's a geeky thing. Um, and again, I was going to talk about the boys on Amazon, but at this point it's almost over. I would still say definitely watch it. It's a fun show. It is so much fun, and that's definitely going to be something I look forward to every Friday. And only 2 more weeks left, so I'm going to miss it once it's gone. Um, anything else you need to do a shout out for, Jose, before we head out?
No, that's it. I'm good, Robert.
All right. So everyone, thank you so much for listening. We both greatly appreciate it. And until next time, I wish you the best in life, love, and gaming.